Today we're going to talk about fertilizer application techniques in ornamental industry, especially in container ornamental industry. So there is a special kind of fertilizer that are used in container ornamentals, which are called controlled release fertilizer, in short CRF. Sometimes you may hear slow release fertilizer also. So the controlled release fertilizer are fertilizer, generally they are prills or granules, generally prills. And then it's coated with the polymer or any other kind of coating technology. So that will last for several months. You can have 2 months, 4 months, 6, 8 based on your need. And the good thing about the using CRF material in container is you apply one time and that will last for several months. You don't have to go back and keep applying. Sometimes you may have to do top dressing because you have a plant longer than you expected. You put 4-month CRF and then your plant, you couldn't sell that, it lasted 6 months and you have to go back and top dress. But in general, the whole idea is to apply one time CRF and you're good. So as a part of production process, how it's applied is generally you can incorporate CRF granules or prills in the potting mix. That's one technique. Other technique is you can fill the pot with the potting mix, take some soil out with the machine, and then put the fertilizer and put the new plant. Sometimes you can just have the new plant in a new pot and top dress, sprinkle at the top. There are different ways. It just depends on the crop and your practices in the past, how you like it. And then generally how much to apply, it comes in the label. So in the label, when you look at the material label, it will tell you how many grams should go in what size pot. So based on a pot size, you apply a certain amount. So there are certain things about the controlled release fertilizer I wanted to add more here. First thing is controlled release fertilizer is a whole blend most of the time when you're applying at the grower level. It's a nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, all secondary nutrients, all micronutrient, most of it that plant really needs it. Sometimes you can have a homogeneous prill that each prill has all nutrient in the same amount, or sometimes you can have a mix of different controlled release fertilizer that each prill is different. There's a potassium nitrate prill, there's a MAP prill, there's a micronutrient prill, there's a zinc prill, so there you can have a heterogeneous prill also. Generally growers prefer a homogeneous prill because you would know you're putting an equal amount of nutrient in all pots. A heterogeneous prill, it's a little hard, it can get biased. That and other thing to consider is like I said, the duration. If you're in the hot areas, you should generally assume it's gonna last before then what's it's written on the label. If you're in the South Florida, Miami, if the label says it's gonna last for 3 months, it may last for a month and a half. So you have to take those things into consideration. And the most of the fertilization happens using CRF material, but sometimes there are situations that growers like to use a water soluble fertilizer. They mix in the water and apply foliarly apply as a liquid. That is when plants are really in a peak flowering season. They want to push more flowering and fruit flowering in the peak spring. Growers like to do like a potassium nitrate or calcium nitrate and they apply foliarly. Sometimes the micronutrients are applied foliarly too if there's a certain nutrient deficiency, more like a fixing situation, and the response are pretty quick as a foliar application. And also if you have the disease or stressful environment that you're not being able to solve with the fungicides, growers like to use a certain micronutrient like zinc, manganese, or copper, or silicon, or other like a structure elements like silicon or calcium that will strengthen the plant and make a plant less susceptible to pathogens. So that's a more foliar aspect of it, but that happens very less. The CRF controlled release fertilizer is the main to go fertilizer material. And like I said, it's a controlled release fertilizer. And the funny thing is, it's not determined by moisture. A lot of times it's like you overwater, you lose fertilizer. No, controlled release fertilizer is, the release is completely determined by the temperature. And generally those the release curve, like I said, durations, 4 month, 6 month, those are depending on the temperature, and they use a standard temperature like 80 degree Fahrenheit, and that's at the 80 degree Fahrenheit, that's the duration. If you have a lower temperature, it will release slowly, and if you have higher temperature, it will release faster. When you're talking the time duration, one of the interesting thing is that when you have a controlled release fertilizer, so for example, a 6 month duration controlled release fertilizer, you will have prills that are like 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months, or different ways, because you want that nutrient to be released over the entire 6 month duration. So you have prills that will be released in the 1 month, the 2 months, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a 6 month prill is a mixture of different duration prills. It's the same like 8 months prill. You'll have different duration prills that will last or release over the entire duration. So that in general, use of controlled release fertilizer, they're a little expensive, but they are a one-time application that saves labor cost, and also you can customize your controlled release fertilizer. You can tell your manufacturer, I want this analysis. For example, I want 18-5-12, on my gardenia, and this percentage of micronutrient or calcium. So it's really a good technology. It saves the fertilizer, it saves it from leaching, it saves the labor, like I said, and a lot of the growers use controlled release fertilizer as a major fertilizer application technique in the container ornamental industry.